After his UFC Fight Island 7 victory, Max Holloway caused some waves in the MMA community with his comments about sparring, about not sparring, I should say. These comments caused quite a bit of discussion within the MMA community, but to me, there was something more hidden in there. Maybe he didn't realize it, but I took a different message out of it when it comes to ways of training for all different athletes and anyone who's training about for anything in particular. It doesn't matter what it is. Max Holloway, to me, was giving advice to everybody, not just the fighters out there. We'll go over exactly what Holloway said, what it means for not just for fighters, but for anyone who's active, anyone who's exercising, and anyone who's training. Meet me on the other side of the intro, and I'll have everything you need right here on the podcast. Defending mediocrity in our profession. Thank you very much for coming back and joining me on the Dr. Krol PT and Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lee Krol, physical therapist. Before we get into the topic at hand, which is Max Holloway's comments and what they mean for not just fighters, but for everybody in the exercise community, I want you to go ahead and do me a little favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to go down there, hit that subscribe button. I want you to like the videos, share the videos, move them around on social media. That's the way the channel grows. That's the way the channel gets better, is if we all pitch in and help out and share, like, subscribe, comment on the videos, a little bit of back and forth, watch the videos to the end. That always helps as well. We're going to get into what Max Holloway had to say after his UFC Fight Island victory over Calvin Kattar. When asked about sparring, Holloway said something that caused quite a bit of debate and stir within the MMA community, and he said this, and I quote, I'm going to read it right here. Quote, "You guys only get one brain. Save it. You guys don't need to do it. You sparred enough. You trained enough. You know how to punch someone. You know how to slip a punch. Why even take unnecessary damage before the main game, you know? That's just the way I think. And everybody who keep telling me that I should be training, no, I've been training, baby. Please protect you guys' head. If I got to tell an up-and-comer coming, be smart. Figure out a way of taking less damage. You want to be in this game for a long time," end quote. So, of course, this started the debate about whether people should be hard sparring or not, and in the scope of the MMA community, that's a fine discussion. But there's a bigger topic here, at least to me. There's a bigger topic here. There's a bigger discussion that reaches to all realms of activity, exercise, and fitness, not just mixed martial arts, not just combat sports, but all levels of activity, exercise, and fitness. My base interpretation of what Holloway said from a purely MMA standpoint is that once you know how to spar, once you have your distance and timing down at fight speed, once you've learned how to take a hit, stop taking hits for free. Save your body, save your brain. And this is pretty admirable advice to give. It's protecting your biggest assets, your brain and your body. You only get one of each and you can't replace them. So again, protecting your brain, protecting your body, and that's outstanding advice. I really like what he had to say. And I think as you get older, your training has to change, which is going to be the main crux of what we're talking about today. Many people I know who train for anything, whether it's running, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, fighting, dancing, powerlifting, etc., have kind of this basic addictive philosophy to it that says, if I'm not training or I'm not grinding, my opponent is. And what that really kind of sets the stage for is overtraining and lack of rest, lack of recovery. Because if I take a day off, well, my opponent's training, my opponent's drilling, my opponent's working on something. The dance studio across town, they're working on their numbers, they're working on their routines. If I'm powerlifting, well, the person who's going to be on the stage across from me, they're training right now, they're lifting, they're putting in the work, and I'm over here resting. I'm not doing everything I can. And that mentality may work when you're in your late teens or even your early 20s, but eventually you will fail your body. And I said that correctly. You will fail your body, not the other way around. A lot of people say, oh, my body failed me. It doesn't work that way. Your body tells you everything you need to know. Your body tells you if there's a problem, you have pain, you have achiness, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're not moving well, you feel exhausted. This is the type of stuff that happens when your body's trying to tell you what you're doing is not sustainable. What you're doing to your body is not any more useful. It's got to recover, it's got to rest so it can grow and build and move on to the next step. But again, we're so addicted usually to the activity that we're doing, running, dancing, powerlifting, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter, that we don't like the concept of taking a day off. Fitness is a lifelong journey. There's no end goal to fitness. There's no end goal. Your health is not like a high school diploma where once you have it, that's it. You have it forever and nobody can take it away from you. It doesn't matter if you could pass a 12th grade history exam or a math exam right now. It doesn't matter. You have a high school diploma, you have it forever. Health and fitness and exercise doesn't work that way. If you could run an 8-minute mile or a 7-minute mile 10 years ago, but you haven't run it since, then you probably can't do it right now. It's not something that you just bank and you have forever. Your body really changes throughout your entire life. So the things that you were doing when you were 18, you can't do them the same way at 45 years old as when you were 18. It just doesn't work that way. You don't recover the same way. You can't train the same way. So why do people keep training the same way as they get older? Why do people keep training that hard, grinding, bullish lifestyle as they get older? I know people who are running, 75 miles a week to try to keep a personal best that they attained when they were in their 20s. And that's just not sustainable. So the bigger statement made in Holloway's quote is exactly that. Your training needs to evolve as you age. As you get older, you have to change the way you train because your body can no longer handle it. There's nothing wrong with training hard. Nothing at all. It's fine when you're trying to peak for something. There's nothing wrong with training hard when you're actually working towards something. But you have to ask yourself a big question. What about life after training? What about life off the mat? What about life off the running road? What about then? Is permanent brain damage really worth the short-lived glory of being in a ring or a cage? I can't answer that question for you. Is chronic knee or hip pain really worth a couple of marathon medals on your wall? Again, I can't answer that question for you. Most people are okay with having these chronic issues as long as they got to do the event that they wanted to do. And a lot of times your body will tell you when you're doing too much. Your body will tell you if there's a problem. Other people will start telling you that there's a problem. You'll have people who are fighting and their significant others will tell them you're taking too much damage, you're slurring your words, you're missing your thoughts, and usually the first thing that people do is denial. They don't want to believe that it's actually happening, but that's the reality. You have to understand that people are giving you this advice because, this is what the changes are happening to your body. If every time you go to run, you have to spend over an hour icing your joints up, that's your body telling you that maybe that level of running isn't sustainable for your body. Just because somebody else can run 30 miles a week doesn't mean you can. I can't. I can only run a few miles a week before my body starts really getting upset with me. So I think running's functional and you should be able to do it. But I would argue that if you have to run 26.2 miles, you probably should have ran to your car instead. So it's okay to run long distances if your body can handle it. But just because yours can doesn't mean somebody else's can't. So you have to be pretty careful about that when dosing your exercise appropriately. And we'll talk about exercise being medicine, activity being medicine, and how it has a dose limit for most people in a future podcast. But the real big point of what Holloway was saying is you get older and your body can't take the punishment anymore. Your brain can't take the punishment, so stop throwing those hard sparring sessions on your body when you don't need them. What's your risk reward? You're risking your body, you're risking your brain for how much benefit. You already know how to spar, you already know how to slip a punch, you already have your fight speed distance. Make sure those stay sharp with maintenance. Stop taking the big hits when you no longer need to. That's kind of what he was saying. Now, my point is, how does that apply to other activities? How does that apply to the general public who aren't fighters, who aren't combat sport athletes? How does that apply to people who dance? How does that apply to people who run? The big thing you have to do is listen to your body. Your body will tell you things. If you choose to ignore it, I mean, that's your fault. You have no one to blame but yourself. If you're running 60 miles a week and your body is constantly breaking down, you're constantly sore, you're constantly using your soft tissue trigger gun to work out spots, and you're icing constantly, you're popping ibuprofen all over the place, you're masking what your body is trying to tell you. It's saying, hey, you're 52 years old now. You shouldn't be running 35 miles a week for training. Maybe knock it down to 15. You'll maintain what you have, you'll maintain what you're doing, but you can't handle 30 miles a week anymore. And I'm trying to tell you that as your body, you keep masking it and putting your head in the sand. It's a real problem when it comes to activity, exercise, fitness, because people do get addicted to the things that they're trying to do. When I was at a different clinic, speaking of addiction, I was working with a young dancer, 15 years old, and she, along with her parents, all three entities involved, they absolutely refused to take 4 to 6 weeks off of dancing to get her shoulder better. Even though at the end of the session, she felt better. She was moving better. She was in far less pain than when she came in. We know that the conservative stuff we were doing in physical therapy was helpful. It was helpful to get her out of pain. It was helpful to improve her function. And every time she went to dance, it got worse again. We knew where the problem was. Dancing on that shoulder at that time was not going to work. And I asked, take 4 to 6 weeks off. You're 15 years old. You're not going pro. You're not going to Broadway. And even if you were, if your shoulder's all jacked up, that's not going to happen anyway. But again, all three of them adamantly refused. Oh, we're not taking 4 to 6 weeks off. We're going to see the surgeon. And again, I was really confused at this point. If you go to see a surgeon and you have surgery, you're going to have to take 4 to 6 weeks off anyway, because you're going to have to heal from surgery. On top of that, you don't know if surgery is going to be 100% effective. It's not always 100% effective, so you may not be any better off, and then you're dealing with surgical concerns on top of it. Then you're only 15 years old and you're starting down this path. But all three of them they wouldn't listen. They didn't want to take any time off. They were so addicted to the activity that they were doing that they just wouldn't take 4 to 6 weeks off. Even the point of me saying 4 to 6 weeks off was just, I might as well lit their house on fire, the way that they looked at me. That mindset is not just them. A lot of dancers, a lot of runners, a lot of martial artists, a lot of people who do yoga and powerlifting, all have the same mentality, that same addicted, I have to do this every day or at least 6 times a week, or my life feels incomplete. It's a very addictive type of mentality that they have. What Max Holloway is telling you all to do, whether he knows it or not, what he's telling all of you to do is protect your assets, your brain and your body. You only get one of each and you can't replace them. Holloway's telling you that you have to change the way you train as you age. It has to evolve. You have to change it. If you don't, you're going to fail your body. Your body can no longer handle the dosage of that activity that you're putting on top of it. That happens to everybody. It's not just professional athletes we're talking about here. Everybody has that issue where they just can't do what they did when they were 18 years old. Their body doesn't recover the same way. And that's okay. It's fine. You just have to change the way you do things. I used to run with normal shoes, hard pavement all the time. I switched to a more minimalist style shoe, and I only run on trails now. It protects my knees, it protects my back. I don't feel as banged up when I run anymore. I think running's functional. You should be able to run. Things start on fire, you have to chase things, and things chase you. So you should be able to run, in my opinion, at least 1 mile to 1.5 miles. Not the farthest distance in the world, but a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't make it around a high school track even once, and that's a 1/4 mile, let alone 5, 6, 7 times. You have to be able to do these things as you get older, But you need to change the way you do it, because I can't run on hard pavement banging away 20 miles a week. I can't do that anymore. So I only run 5-6 miles a week, softer surfaces with a more minimalist approach. It works for me. You have to find what works for you as you change, as you age. But let me ask you this though. To all the people who dance and do martial arts and power lift and yoga and anything else, running 6-7 days a week. They're putting tons of miles in their body. They're putting tons of mat time on their body. They're in the yoga class all the time. Let me ask you this. As you get older, wouldn't it behoove you, wouldn't it be good to spend a day of stick mobility instead of a day of heavy lifting? Take 1 day a week, add stick mobility in, really clean yourself up. As you age, would you benefit from maybe 2 days on the yoga mat instead of 7 more miles on the road? As you age, would you benefit from a longer, focused, corrective warm-up session instead of just more hard reps on the mat? As you age, wouldn't you benefit from an off season? This is something we're going to spend a lot of time talking about in a future episode of the podcast. But how many of you even consider the notion of an off season? You know who does? Professional athletes do. People who get paid big money, people who make millions and millions of dollars off of their body, people who you are trying to emulate because you want to be the best, you want to succeed, except you don't want to do all those things that they do, like taking an off season and watching everything that they eat and watching everything that they do and working with a physical therapist regularly to make sure that their movement patterns are good. People don't want to do that. They just want to watch them do a hard exercise video with a battling rope or a medicine ball, and they say, if I work hard like they are, then I'm going to succeed like they do. And what people don't think about is you have to work smart like they do, and then you have a chance to train hard and succeed the way they do. It's about working smart. It's about having an off season. It's about recovering. It's about setting your body up for success instead of just stacking a whole bunch of stuff on top of your body and hoping that it holds up and then complaining when your body breaks down and saying, well, I'm sidelined. That's just unfortunate. It's not unfortunate. You set yourself up for an injury, and nothing sidelines you faster than an injury. So if you're running, Western New York, I live in Western New York, you could run in a race, pre-pandemic, pre the shutdown, and it'll come back after the shutdown's over. You can run all year long. You could run in 5Ks and half marathons all year long. You can beat the shit out of your joints all year long if you want to and never take an off season. I don't know many runners that take an off season. I don't know many runners that just, okay, I'm going to run maybe once or twice a week, but I'm going to change to this activity that is not like it. I'm not going to bike. I'm not going to snowshoe. I'm going to change to maybe snowboarding or downhill skiing or something that's not like running. I'm going to give my body a break from running. I'm going to do it occasionally, once, maybe twice a week, low mileage, low pace, just keep it going. But I'm not going to beat it up 6 days a week for about 3 months. I'm going to give it an off season. What about people in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Do they ever take an off season? No, they train 6 days a week all year round, and they have injuries to show. And they almost use it as a badge of honor. If I'm not hurt, then I'm doing something wrong. I don't like being out of pain. I saw a meme which was supposed to be funny that showed this guy, obviously well-seasoned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player, and it said, I don't know if it was attributed to the person in the picture, it doesn't matter, but the idea was that, man, I took 3 days off and I wasn't sore and I hated it. And that's that type of addictive, destructive mindset that puts people's bodies in a position where they break down prematurely. If you want to have a long career, a fruitful career doing this stuff, change the way you do it as you age. It's what Holloway was telling you. Stop taking the big hits for free. You already know how to take a hit. You already know how to slip a punch. Why are you doing this when you're not getting paid for it? Don't take the hits for free as you age. Don't put the unnecessary miles on your running body as you age. As you age, give yourself an off season. Give yourself time to recover and work on movement patterns that will help improve your game. That's what the professionals do. That's what the best people in the world do. Do you think Tom Brady throws the football the same way all 12 months? No, Tom Brady takes time between the season to improve his body, to recover from the repetitive patterns of whatever activity that you're doing. All activity has repetitive patterns. It's going to lead to dysfunction and asymmetry in your body. You should take some off-season time to fix that and improve yourself so that when you return to the activity, you return at a higher level, at a much better level. You can spar, you can dance, you can run, you can do yoga, you can do all of these things. But wouldn't it be smart to have a medical professional, a sports-minded PT leading you through your journey, quarterbacking your journey? Wouldn't it be smart to have a sports-minded PT that can take a movement screen, put you through it, and say, here's the landmine that you haven't stepped on yet, but it's in your way. Let's clean this up. Let's fix this before you come in here as a patient. I find it really strange, really strange, and I know a lot of people that are like this. People who are training for something, either they're training for a fight, they're training for a match, they're training for a marathon, they're training for a dance number, they're training for some sort of competition. Doesn't matter what it is. They want to do really well in this competition. They're all in on, I'm going to do well. They're putting in the work on the mat, in the dance studio, on the road, on the yoga mat. They're putting in the work. But they don't have anyone quarterbacking what they're doing. They won't spend a little bit of money to see someone once, twice, 3 times maybe throughout the course of them training for whatever it is. It's a fight, it's a marathon, whatever. They won't see the medical professional to have them quarterback it. They just wing it. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call later on that says, yeah, I was training for this thing. I was, training for this event. I was training for this marathon. And then I don't know why my ankle started hurting. You don't know why your ankle started hurting? It just happened out of the blue. There was no warning signs of this happening at all. Your body wasn't wearing down. Your body wasn't telling you need more sleep, you need more recovery. Maybe you should have had someone quarterbacking you through this whole thing, and the risk of that injury would have gone down. Again, it drives me absolutely crazy, and it's baffling to me how these people can put all this effort into training for a marathon or a fight or an event or a competition and not come in to see a sports-minded PT, a sports-minded chiropractor, or an ATC, someone that can work with them. They don't have to train with them every day. They don't have to even train with them multiple times a week. You see them once, twice, 3 times. Let's clean a few things up. Let's make sure there's no landmines. You have to take care of your body as it ages. And that is exactly what Max Holloway was telling all of you to do. He was speaking directly to the MMA community, but there was a bigger message involved in what Max Holloway was saying. And I'm here to help you distill out that message and help you apply it to your day-to-day life. If you're going to do anything, a couple of things. Number 1, get a sports-minded PT, just like you get a dentist, just like you get a primary care physician, just like you would have an OBGYN if you're a female. You get someone like that you see with some regularity to make sure that you are doing the things that you're supposed to be doing and you're listening to your body and you're not stepping on landmines. That would be number 1. Number 2, listen to your body. Listen to what your body's telling you. Number 3, change the way you do things as you age. If you become 40, 45, 50 years old, you can't train, or you shouldn't train the way you were training at 18 years old. It just isn't smart. Okay? Those are the 3 big things. Get a sports-minded medical professional to help you out. Change the way you train. Listen to your body. If I'm going to add anything else, this is going to be a hard sell, and we'll talk about this later on. Add an off season to what you do. Take a little bit of downtime. You don't have to stop completely, but significantly reduce your frequency and replace it with something else that will make you better at that activity that you love when you want to go back to it. So those are my tips for you. That's what I have to think about Max Holloway's comments from the UFC Fight Island 7 after his victory. It caused a lot of stir in the MMA community, and I thought it's something completely different when I heard it. I thought his message was more, protect yourself as you age, take care of yourself as you age. Thank you very much for joining me on this edition of the podcast. If you liked what you heard, you need to hit that subscribe button down there, get all the notifications. If you're 25, 30 minutes into this video, 25, 26 minutes I would say at this point, then you should be subscribed to this channel. You should be liking this video. You should be sharing this on social media. You should be sharing this on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever social media you're on. I want you to share it. I want you to help grow this channel. We're going to be hitting the reset button on fitness, and that's what I'm talking about here. Changing the mindset. It's not about what exercise to do. It's not about how many reps to do. It's not about this particular movement or that particular movement. It's about this. If your mindset is right, if your mindset is good, you will listen to your body. You will not become addicted to any particular type of activity and overdose it. So, thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to what I have to say here. Every Monday is rehab. Every Tuesday is fitness. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time on the Dr. Krol PT and Fitness Podcast. Take care and have a good day.